Hello, welcome to JMR RECAP. Today we're talking Jousting, the 6th event of the 2021 Marble League. Now, Jousting is a new event in the Marble League this year, and it's pretty simple on paper, but a lot of strategies can be applied to it of just knocking the ball to the other side of the field while trying to keep the other team from knocking the ball to your side of the field. Now, granted, when I heard Jousting, I would have assumed that they would have been actually attacking each other and not some random ball, but I guess that would be a little too violent. Now, going into this event, Team Momo wanted to keep number 1 spot, the Razzies wanted to get into number 1 spot, the Thunderbolts just want a medal for once, the Savage Speeders wanted to continue their streak, and the Indigo Stars wanted to keep charging up the standings. But before we get into that championship, we need to talk about the Pupils Championship, which, once again, I did not write down the scores for. I think the red ones are still in the lead. I'm not really sure. The yellow ones won this time. But yeah. Now, this event worked in a bracket format, and yes, I will be covering all 16 matches in the video. This might take a while. Our first match of the day saw the Crazy Cat's Eyes and Rojo Rollers going at each other, and they both hit the ball at around the same time, so the ball didn't actually move much from center position, but the Crazy Cat's Eyes hit it slightly later, giving it the slight movement to the Rojo Rollers side, giving them the win. Now, in the Savage Speeders versus Gliding Glaciers matchup, we saw an interesting move from Speedy as he went back up the ramp and then back down the ramp in an attempt to knock the ball bearing further, even though they had already pretty much guaranteed one at that point. This was a strategy attempted by a few other marbles later in the event, but it never really added up to much. The matchup between the O'Rangers and the Shining Swarm saw an interesting first run as the ball just didn't move and a tiebreaker had to be done. But in the redo, the O'Rangers once again attempted the run back up the ramp and hit the ball more strategy, and unlike the Speeders, they actually did hit the ball, but it didn't really help much as they had already won. Now in Hazers vs Minty Maniacs, not a lot was expected out of the Hazers as they usually don't do well in strength events, but they actually won the first heat against the Minty Maniacs in a decent fashion actually, so they were being watched throughout the rest of the event. Now, the next heat, Mellow Yellow won over the Green Ducks, advancing them. And the Green Ducks, after their Event 2 Gold, haven't really been doing much, but this is really the first thing Mellow Yellow has done since their Event 1 Bronze, so, I don't really know if this was good for either team. I guess Mellow Yellow, because they won, but you get the point. Now, the Thunderbolts Chocolatiers matchup was interesting, because the Thunderbolts member didn't really stay on by going back up the ramp. It was more backspin that kept them on the whole time. Even though they lost, it was an interesting attempt to recover by rolling back towards the ball again, but the Chocolatiers still ended up winning. And then there was a Limers Raspberry Racers matchup, a classic rivalry matchup, and they tied. After the tiebreaker, the Raspberry Racers ended up winning, meaning A, the Limers still haven't done anything, and B, the Raspberry Racers have a shot at getting another medal. In Team Momo versus the Indigo Stars, we saw a really strong hit from Team Momo, which led them to bounce off the ramp again to hit the ball again, just to give it that slightest bit further, even though it was pretty unnecessary and more just for showmanship. Moving into the quarterfinals, the Savage Speeders win against the Crazy Cat's Eyes using their patented roll back up the ramp and then roll back down the ramp to hit the ball again strategy, which once again wasn't really very necessary, but I don't know if they like doing it, I guess. In the O'Rangers vs Hazers matchup, the Hazers just barely nudged the ball slightly past the 9, less than a centimeter past the 9 actually, to just barely give them the win. In the Chocolatiers and Mellow Yellow matchup, one of the Mellow Yellow members went way back up the ramp, while one of the Chocolatiers members went slightly ricocheting off the ramp, trying to push it forward, but they still lost to Mellow Yellow as I think Yellow just came slamming down the ramp, and there was really no contest at that point. Our next matchup saw our top 2 teams going against each other, and Team Momo ended up getting the win at a pretty big win too, as they hit it 6.7 centimeters onto the Raspberry Racers side, one of the strongest pushes we've seen so far. Our next matchup saw 2 of the top hitters in this event so far. And the Hazers, using the Savage Speeders roll back up the ramp strategy, along with just getting the first hit in general, were able to win this pretty considerably. Our next matchup of Mellow Yellow and Team Momo saw Mellow Yellow win by throwing themselves off the ramp way faster than Team Momo did, also causing them to ricochet backwards at high speed into the wall, but they still won, so I guess it worked out. The bronze medal match saw a match between the Savage Speeders and Team Momo, which the Savage Speeders at the end of this event seemed to have just used all their energy in the first half, as they were doing really bad in the second half, giving Team Momo a bronze medal. The Hazers and Mellow Yellow met in the gold medal matchup, and it ended up being a win for the Hazers, as both of them hit the ball at around the same time, but the Hazers seemed to have hit it later, which actually helped them in the end, as they had more speed going off the ramp, giving them the gold medal and Mellow Yellow the silver. This podium includes the Hazers' first medal since Event 2, Mellow Yellow's first medal since Event 1, and Team Momo's third medal, extending their lead at the top of the standings. Team Momo now has a 13-point lead over the second-place Raspberry Racers. The Hazers jump up 8 spots into third with 65 points. The Savage Speeders stayed in fourth, and the Thunderbolts fell down to fifth. The Limers are still doing nothing at the bottom. Maybe they'll do something next event. Anyways, see you next time in JMR Recap for the hurdles.